If you are over 60, the most dangerous thing you do for your heart may not be what you eat for breakfast, how much salt you use, or whether you forgot your walk yesterday. It may be what happens in the first 30 seconds after your eyes open. Not because waking up is dangerous by itself, but because many older adults go from deep sleep to full-speed living so fast that the cardiovascular system has no time to adjust. That transition matters more than most people realize. And if you are waking up, grabbing your phone, standing up fast, running on stress, drinking coffee before water, or pushing straight into activity, you may be forcing your heart through a surge it no longer handles the way it did at 40. I'm Dr. Rowan, and today I want to walk you through what may really be happening inside your body each morning, why those first few minutes can feel fine but still place extra strain on the heart, and the simple morning transition protocol I wish more adults over 60 had been taught years earlier. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do tomorrow morning to make that transition steadier, calmer, and potentially safer. And if you believe practical, science-based guidance for healthy aging matters, take a second to like the video and subscribe, because this channel is built for people who want to protect their independence, energy, and quality of life without the noise and gimmicks. Now, let's start with a truth that surprises many people. The body is not the same at 6 in the morning as it is at 2 in the afternoon. In the early hours after waking, your nervous system begins shifting you from a sleeping state into an alert, active state. Blood pressure starts rising, heart rate begins to climb. Hormones like cortisol and adrenaline naturally increase to help you wake up, think clearly, and move. This is often called the morning surge, and in healthy younger adults, it is usually handled without much trouble. The body wakes, adjusts, and moves on. But after 60, the system is often less forgiving. Blood vessels may be stiffer than they used to be. The autonomic nervous system, which helps regulate heart rate, blood pressure, and the body's rapid adjustments to posture and stress, may respond more slowly. Overnight, you have also gone many hours without fluids, which can leave you mildly dehydrated by morning. Some people are taking blood pressure medications, diuretics, diabetes medications, or other drugs that can make these shifts more noticeable. Others already have coronary artery disease, atrial fibrillation, heart failure, carotid disease, autonomic dysfunction, or simply the accumulated wear and tear of aging. So the issue is not that the morning surge is abnormal. The issue is that an aging cardiovascular system may have a smaller margin for error while that surge is happening. This is one reason cardiologists and emergency physicians have long observed that heart attacks, strokes, dangerous rhythm disturbances, and sudden blood pressure shifts often cluster more heavily in the morning hours. That does not mean the morning itself is the enemy. It means the first minutes after waking are a biologically sensitive window, and what you do in that window can either support the transition or make it rougher. That idea is the backbone of everything we're talking about today. The problem is often not one dramatic mistake. It is the speed of the transition. The body wakes up gradually. Many people live as if it should wake up instantly, and that brings me to mistake number 7, because it is incredibly common, especially now, and most people do it before they are even fully conscious. They reach for the phone. At first glance, it seems harmless. You want the time, you want to check a message. Maybe you are looking at the weather, your calendar, the news, or photos from family. But the moment you do that, you are no longer simply waking up. You are processing information, reacting emotionally, making decisions, and activating attention circuits that were quiet only seconds earlier. That shift may feel small, but physiologically it can be surprisingly abrupt. For some people, the first thing they see is a bill reminder, a political headline, a stressful email, bad news from a relative, or a flood of messages. For others, the content is neutral, but even neutral content can drag the brain into analytical mode before the body has stabilized. Your eyes are open, but your nervous system is still in transition. Your blood pressure is already rising. Your heart is already moving into a more alert state. Then you add stimulation. It is like pressing the gas pedal while the engine is still trying to settle. This matters even more if you are prone to morning anxiety, palpitations, blood pressure spikes, or that uncomfortable feeling that your system is too switched on too early. Many older adults describe mornings as shaky, tight, heavy, or rushed. Sometimes they blame age. Sometimes it is partly age, but sometimes it is the way the morning is being handled. A better approach is simple. Give yourself a small buffer. 2 minutes is enough to make a meaningful difference in how the morning feels. 2 minutes with no phone, no headlines, no email, no demands from the outside world. just enough time for your body to become awake before your brain is asked to be fully engaged. That may sound trivial, but it changes the tone of the entire morning. It lowers the chance that the very first emotion of your day will be urgency. Now, right beside that mistake is another one people defend with great passion because it feels like comfort and routine. Mistake number 6 is coffee before water. Let me be clear. I am not anti-coffee. For many adults, moderate coffee intake can fit perfectly well into a healthy lifestyle. Coffee has even been associated in some studies with certain health benefits. The issue here is timing, not punishment. After a full night of sleep, you have gone several hours without drinking. Through breathing, perspiration, and normal body processes, you lose water overnight. That means many people wake up mildly dehydrated. At the same time, blood pressure is already climbing as part of the morning surge. If the first thing you do is drink coffee without first replacing any of that lost fluid, some people feel fine, but others experience a more jittery, dry, headachy, or tight transition. Caffeine can temporarily raise alertness, and in sensitive individuals, it can also raise heart rate, increase the sensation of palpitations, or make anxiety feel sharper. This is especially important if you are older, already prone to dizziness, take a diuretic, wake up with a dry mouth, or tend to get up quickly and move immediately. In that setting, hydration first is one of the easiest wins you can get. I usually recommend something very simple. Before coffee, drink a glass of water. About 12 to 16 ounces is a good practical target for many adults, unless your physician has told you to restrict fluids because of heart failure, kidney disease, hyponatremia, or another condition. Room temperature water is usually easier for the body first thing in the morning than very cold water, especially if you are sensitive. Drink it steadily, not like a contest. Then let coffee come after that. That one small step does not magically prevent heart attacks. Let's be disciplined about the science, but it can support a gentler cardiovascular transition, reduce the compounding effect of overnight dehydration, and help many people feel more stable before the stimulating part of the morning begins. In medicine, sometimes the best advice is not flashy. It is just physiologically respectful. And once hydration enters the picture, the next mistake becomes even more important, because now we are talking about mechanics. Mistake number 5 is standing up too quickly. If you have ever felt lightheaded when rising from bed, seen the room dim for a second, or had to grab the nightstand to steady yourself, you have already felt this problem firsthand. When you go from lying down to sitting or standing, gravity shifts blood downward. The body has to react quickly to maintain blood flow to the brain. In younger adults, that response is often smooth and fast. In older adults, it can be slower, weaker, or less reliable. This is one reason orthostatic hypotension becomes more common with age. The danger here is not only discomfort. A sudden drop in blood pressure can increase fall risk, and falls are not minor events for older adults. A fractured hip, a head injury, a loss of confidence, weeks of immobility, and a cascade of decline can begin with one unsteady moment. But from a heart standpoint, there is another issue. When the body senses that pressure has dropped, it may respond with a compensatory increase in heart rate and stress signaling. If someone already has coronary disease, an arrhythmia tendency, or poor reserve, that sudden shift is not ideal. I remember a patient in her early 70s who told me she thought something was seriously wrong with her brain because every few mornings she felt a strange wave of confusion and weakness when she stood up. She was frightened. She worried about stroke. We walked through her routine in detail. She woke, threw the covers off, swung her legs over the edge of the bed, and stood up almost in one movement because she had always been a get-up-and-go person. But the body she had at 72 was no longer the body she had at 42. Her issue was not laziness, it was timing. I asked her to change only one thing at first. When you wake up, do not launch. Stay still for a few breaths, then sit up slowly. Let your feet rest on the floor. Pause. Give your blood pressure time to catch up. Only then stand. A week later, she told me the dizzy spells were dramatically better. Not because of a fancy supplement, not because of a miracle cure, because she finally stopped asking her body to go from 0 to 60 in a single motion. That exact same theme shows up in mistake number 4, though people usually think of this one as a nutrition issue rather than a transition issue. Mistake number 4 is either skipping breakfast entirely when your body clearly needs fuel, or eating a breakfast that sends blood sugar up fast and crashing soon after. This is where nuance matters. Not every adult over 60 needs breakfast at the same exact time every single day. Some people tolerate later eating well. Some are following specific medical or dietary advice. And there is growing interest in time-restricted eating in certain populations. So I do not want to reduce this to a slogan. But in everyday life, Many older adults wake up already stressed, underhydrated, on medications, and physiologically revving from the morning surge. If they then push through the early part of the day with no fuel, they may feel shaky, irritable, weak, mentally foggy, or overly stimulated by cortisol and adrenaline. On the other hand, if the first thing they eat is highly refined sugar and starch, such as pastries, sweetened cereal, or a large white flour breakfast with little protein or fiber, they may set up an unstable blood sugar pattern that makes the rest of the morning feel worse. For the heart, the broader principle is stability. Stable energy, stable glucose, stable mood, stable pressure. The body does better with steady inputs than with extremes. A smarter breakfast after 60 is usually one that combines protein, fiber, and some healthy fat. Eggs with vegetables, plain Greek yogurt with berries and chia seeds, steel-cut oats or old-fashioned oats with flax, cinnamon, walnuts, and some protein on the side, cottage cheese with fruit and a handful of nuts. Even a modest breakfast like that can make the morning feel more grounded than coffee alone or a sugar-heavy breakfast that gives you a surge and then a slump. And timing matters too. If you know you become weak, anxious, headachy, or irritable when you delay food too long, pay attention to that. Your body is giving you data. A lot of healthy aging is learning to respect patterns instead of bulldozing through them because that is what you used to do. Now let's turn the tension up, because mistake number 3 sounds healthy on the surface. In fact, many people feel virtuous doing it. Mistake number 3 is exercising too intensely too early. Again, let's be careful. Morning movement is not the enemy. Walking in the morning can be wonderful. Gentle stretching, light mobility work, easy yoga, relaxed cycling, or a calm neighborhood walk can be an excellent way to wake the body. The problem is jumping into vigorous exercise while the cardiovascular system is still in the surge window and before the body is properly awake, hydrated, and stable. Think about what vigorous exercise asks the body to do. Increase heart rate, increase blood pressure, redirect blood flow, raise oxygen demand, increase mechanical and metabolic stress. That is not inherently bad. Exercise is one of the most powerful tools we have for healthy aging, but timing and intensity matter. If someone over 60 wakes up dehydrated, stands up fast, skips water, maybe feels stressed already, and then heads into hill sprints, heavy lifting, high-intensity intervals, or a hard run before the body has settled, that may be very different from doing the same workout later in the day after hydration, light movement, and a smoother transition. The body is far more prepared then. I have seen this play out in people who were extremely disciplined and very proud of their routines. One man in his late 60s was convinced that because he had always trained hard early, continuing to do so meant he was staying young. What it actually meant was that every morning he was asking his cardiovascular system to fight 2 battles at once, the natural surge of waking and the extra load of vigorous exertion. He kept describing chest tightness that disappeared later in the day. When we moved the hard training later and kept only gentle movement in the first minutes after waking, his symptoms eased and his confidence returned. There is wisdom in adapting. That is not decline. That is intelligence. After 60, the goal is not to prove that your body can still be treated like it is 25. The goal is to train in a way that lets you keep doing life well at 65, 75, and 85. And then we come to mistake number 2, which I believe is one of the most underestimated of them all. It is emotional flooding the moment you wake up. This one is invisible, and that is exactly why it is so powerful. You open your eyes, and before your feet hit the floor, the mind has already started racing. The medical test you are worried about, your spouse's health, your child's problem, money, the bill you forgot, the appointment you dread, the news, the grief that is still sitting in the room with you from yesterday. The body has barely awakened, and the mind has already declared an emergency. Now, life is real. I am not going to insult you by pretending you can breathe your way out of every serious problem. But what many people never realize is that stress in those first waking moments often hits differently from stress later in the day. Your cortisol is already naturally elevated. Your heart rate and blood pressure are already shifting. If you then pile emotional threat on top of that, the internal experience can feel like being yanked upright from the inside. Some people describe it as dread. Some call it panic. Some say their chest feels tight, their heart pounds, their stomach drops, or they feel almost sick before they have even stood up. And when that pattern repeats day after day, it can teach the body that waking up itself is a stressful event. That is why I so often recommend creating a protected emotional buffer in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the day. Before your problems get their turn, let your nervous system have its turn. Open your eyes, stay still, and take slow breaths. Inhale for about 4 seconds, pause briefly, then exhale for about 6 seconds. Not because breathing is magic, but because a longer exhale can help shift the nervous system toward a calmer, more regulated state. Then orient yourself gently. Notice the room, feel the mattress beneath you. If it helps, name one thing that is stable, one thing that is good, or one thing you are grateful for. It can be simple. I am breathing. The sun is up. I am still here. That may sound small. It is not small. It is a deliberate interruption of the automatic stress spiral. And for many older adults, that interruption is the difference between beginning the day with steadiness and beginning it with a surge of fear that lingers for hours. Now here is the moment where everything comes together. Because the number one mistake is not coffee by itself, the phone by itself, standing too quickly by itself, or stress by itself. The number one mistake is having no transition protocol at all. That is the real problem. No runway, no buffer, no plan, just instant activity. When you look closely, all 7 mistakes are versions of the same deeper error. They all force the body to move from sleep to action too abruptly. They all ignore the fact that the heart, blood vessels, brain, hormones, muscles, and autonomic nervous system are trying to coordinate a complicated shift. They all assume the body should be able to switch on like a lamp. But the body is not a lamp. It is a living system. And after 60, that system often needs a little more sequence and a little less force. This is where many people get angry at aging because they think, I should not have to do all this. I used to jump out of bed, slam coffee, rush to work, and get on with it. Yes, and the fact that you used to tolerate something does not mean it was optimal then, and it certainly does not mean it is wise now. Healthy aging often requires one very humbling but very liberating shift in mindset. Stop asking your body what you used to get away with, and start asking what helps it function well now. So let me give you the protocol I want you to picture yourself doing tomorrow morning. It is simple, it is practical, it is free. And if you follow it consistently, it may help the first minutes of your day feel calmer, safer, and more controlled. When you first wake up, do not move immediately. Not because movement is dangerous, but because sudden movement is often unnecessary. Stay where you are for about 20 to 30 seconds. Let awareness return gradually. Notice that you are awake. Feel the bed beneath you. This moment of stillness is your reset. You are not being lazy. You are allowing the nervous system to complete the shift from sleep to waking. Then begin slow breathing. Inhale through the nose if comfortable for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 1 or 2 if that feels easy. Then exhale slowly for a count of 6. Repeat that 4 or 5 times. Do not force deep dramatic breaths if they make you uncomfortable or dizzy. Calm, steady breathing is enough. The goal is not performance. The goal is regulation. Next, roll or rise into a seated position slowly. Let your legs come over the side of the bed if that works for you. Sit there for another 20 to 30 seconds. This is the posture transition part, and it matters. You are letting blood pressure catch up. You are giving your inner ear, visual system, and balance system a chance to orient. If you tend to get dizzy, this pause is even more important. If you have already placed water at your bedside the night before, take a few steady sips now, or drink the glass if your doctor has not told you to restrict fluids. Again, for many people, 12 to 16 ounces is a practical range, but individual medical needs matter. If you have heart failure, advanced kidney disease, or are on a strict fluid limit, follow your own clinician's guidance. Safety always comes before general advice. Then stand up slowly, plant your feet, lean slightly forward, rise with intention, not momentum. If you need to steady yourself with the nightstand or bed frame, do it. There is no prize for dramatic independence. Real independence is staying upright. For the next 5 minutes or so, keep movement gentle. Walk to the bathroom calmly, do a few shoulder rolls, stretch the calves, loosen the neck, let the body warm up. If you want coffee, let it wait a few minutes. If you want your phone, let it wait a few minutes. If you want the news, the to-do list, the bills, the family group chat, or the political outrage machine, let those things wait too. The world can have you after your body has had its transition. That is the routine. Stillness, breathing, sit slowly, hydrate, stand slowly, move gently, delay stimulation. In real life, it takes about 3 minutes to do it well. 3 minutes. And for many people, those 3 minutes change the entire tone of the next 3 hours. Now, let's talk about how to make this real enough that it does not become one of those good ideas you forget by tomorrow night. The first step happens before bed, not after waking. Set the morning up the night before. Put a glass or bottle of water where you can reach it safely. If you use medications first thing in the morning, place them where you will not trip over anything getting to them. If your phone is your alarm, keep it far enough away that you are not tempted to start scrolling the second you touch it. If you know you tend to rush in the morning, set the alarm 2 or 3 minutes earlier. Do not steal from your transition time and then tell yourself you are too busy to protect your heart. The second step is to expect imperfection. Some mornings you will forget. Some mornings you will wake late, feel stressed, or move too fast. Fine. Do not turn one imperfect morning into a reason to quit. The point is not a flawless performance. The point is a new default. The third step is to watch for the common ways people accidentally sabotage the routine. One is treating the breathing as optional. If your mornings are stress-heavy, the breathing may be one of the most useful parts. Another is drinking the water too fast and immediately standing up anyway, which defeats the purpose. Another is saying, "I'll just check one notification." No, you probably won't. One notification becomes 5, and 5 becomes mental noise before the body is ready. Another is turning gentle movement into a mini workout. In the first minutes after waking, calm is the goal. You are not trying to win the morning, you are trying to enter it cleanly. There are also people who need to be especially cautious. If you frequently feel dizzy upon standing, if you have fainted, if you wake with chest pain, severe palpitations, shortness of breath, new weakness, confusion, or a pounding headache, do not assume this is just a rough morning. Those can be medical warning signs, especially in older adults. If you have blood pressure swings, diabetes with possible autonomic neuropathy, Parkinson's disease, known arrhythmias, heart failure, carotid disease, or are taking multiple cardiovascular medications, morning symptoms deserve attention. And if you ever have chest pressure, fainting, trouble speaking, facial droop, one-sided weakness, or severe breathlessness, seek urgent medical care. A morning protocol is supportive. It is not a substitute for diagnosis. I also want to say something important for people who live alone. Pride can be dangerous if it keeps you from recognizing risk. If you are having repeated near falls, repeated dizzy spells, or repeated morning palpitations, talk to your doctor. Check your medications. Review your hydration. Ask whether orthostatic blood pressure measurements should be done. Ask whether your morning routine is part of the problem. That conversation can be far more valuable than another random supplement from the internet. But if your symptoms are mild, and what you mainly notice is that your mornings feel rushed, shaky, stiff, anxious, or unsteady, then this is a perfect place to begin. Simple routines are often underestimated because they do not look dramatic. Yet many of the most powerful things we do in medicine are not dramatic. They are repeatable. They lower friction. They reduce unnecessary strain. They make the healthy choice easier than the unhealthy one. So here is the challenge I want to leave you with. Try this for 30 days. Not once. Not when you remember. 30 days. Put the water out tonight. Give yourself 3 minutes tomorrow morning. Delay the phone. Delay the rush. Delay the flood of stress. Let your body arrive before you start demanding from it. Keep a small note if that helps. Better energy. Less dizziness. Less shakiness. Fewer palpitations. More steadiness. More clarity. More confidence. Sometimes the most encouraging changes are subtle at first. Then one day you realize the morning no longer feels like something you have to survive. And that matters. Because after 60, the real goal is not just adding years to life. It is protecting the quality of those years. It is getting out of bed feeling more stable. It is reducing fall risk. It is thinking clearly enough to enjoy your morning. It is preserving the independence to make your coffee, take your walk, drive safely, care for your home, and show up for the people you love. When the morning goes wrong, the whole day is harder. When the morning goes better, everything downstream tends to improve. So remember the message at the center of this video. Your heart does not need you to wake up harder. It needs you to wake up smarter. It needs a transition. It needs a runway. It needs a few minutes of respect. Tonight, set the water by your bed. Tomorrow morning, try the protocol. Then come back and tell me which part surprised you most. Was it the phone, the coffee, the standing up, the stress? Or was it realizing that the real problem was never one habit by itself, but the speed of the whole transition? Share that in the comments, because your experience may help someone else recognize their own pattern sooner. And if you know someone over 60 who wakes up fast, lives on adrenaline, and thinks that pushing through is the same thing as being healthy, send them this video. It may be one of the most useful conversations you start this week. Subscribe if you want more practical guidance on protecting heart health, mobility, energy, and independence as you age. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.